Hi, Ben here and welcome back to the workshop for another work in progress Wednesday. So today what I'm working on is a load of parang blades. These are all in AEB-L, but I've got some in 3.5mm and some in 4mm. And I'm just going to show you how I go about preparing the bevels. We've already sandblasted them and put that acid stonewash on there. So now it's a question of actually putting that lovely convex grind on the actual front part of the parang, but obviously still keeping that nice working Scandi grind near the handle for all those control tasks. So yeah, see how we do it. So this is one of the 4mm thick blades, and what I've done is I've already put a true Scandi grind all the way along the actual blade itself. I've taken that down to about a 400 grit finish, and obviously making sure that we've got those nice plunge lines on the actual grind themselves, all nice and neat and tidy. But the thing that I use, and I use a lot of these in the workshop, is wooden patterns. Now this may look a bit weird, but what this allows me to do is to help me mark out positions of bevels, and also for the maker's mark and things like that, so that you get a consistent result every time. So this shows me where my plunge line wants to start and finish. It also shows me where that little logo is, so I just mark that through with a pen or a pencil. But also what I've got on here is that I've got the cutaway. So if I lay this over the blade, you'll start to see that it's the right height for where the Scandi is, but then you can see that it starts to grow away. So that's basically a line that I'm going to scribe on there with a pencil. You could use a pen if you want to, but I find a pencil works pretty good, especially if you've got oil on the actual blade as well. So mark that position, and then we'll flip it over and mark the other side. And the other thing that's good about using a pencil rather than using a scribe and actually scratching the steel, if you don't quite hit that mark, you're not going to leave a sort of defect on the actual blade itself. So mark both sides. It's probably a little bit tricky to see, but I can see this slight pencil line all the way along there, showing me how much extra steel I need to remove at the tip. And it's basically progressive, so I'm going to be going back into the Scandi, and the Scandi will probably start and sort of finish about here. So you end up with about 2 inches of actual true Scandi for that craft work. So this is the sort of setup I use for doing my convex grinds. So I've got one of my triple arm grinders from Wilmont, and I've also got this rotary platen from Beaumont Metalworks. Now this is an amazing bit of kit. If I take the belt off, you'll sort of see it a little bit clearer. So this has got these different idlers with different distances between them, and then this ridged rubber belt, drive belt, that runs between them, and you can adjust the tension by moving one of these little adjuster screws, so you can make this belt tighter or slacker. And obviously depending which section you use between these idlers, you get more deflection. So this is my sort of preferred section to use for the convex grind. You get a little bit of deflection but not too much, and that'll give you that lovely strong appleseed convex grind on the actual parangs themselves. So I'll put that 80 grit belt on, and you can track this as normal. I'll turn it on, it might be a bit noisy, but yeah, make sure that it's tracking nicely. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our little pencil scribe line, and I'm going to apply pressure onto that belt, and you can see straight away it bends and deforms and creates that nice grind. So I'm just going to be using my sort of mind and body and my muscle memory to try and hit that mark that I'm working on. I'll go for it. So you can start to see that we're removing that back of the bevel and changing it from something that's totally flat to something that is convex. So it's really starting to get that nice convex to it now. We've just got to go a little bit higher at the tip, but this is looking pretty good now. So that's pretty much what I class the easy side. I'm right-handed, so doing this side of the bevel is always a little bit easier. So get that one done, then we've got to swap hands and we've got to do exactly the same on the other side. So that's both sides done, and at this stage it's really important that you use your eyes a lot to make sure that everything's even. So what I'm doing, and this is a technique that my mate Tom Crine taught me, is you basically hold your blade at arm's length, basically lining up with your nose, and keep both eyes open. And what you should be able to do, you should be able to see the bevel with this eye on this side and the bevel with this eye on that side, and you can basically see if they're even. And at this stage I can see that they're pretty much even all the way, even right through to the tip. So that's a good technique of just checking that you've got that bevel even and still running centrally down the centre of the blade. So at that stage that's still got all those 80 grit scratches in there because that was an 80 grit belt. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through the grits until I finish off with that 400 grit that I've obviously ground that Scandi and those plunges with. So yeah, we'll swap the belt over now. And what's amazing about these ceramic belts is that you get almost this sort of wire wall coming off. You're not getting grit, you're actually shaving and cutting the material off. And obviously if you're using these good ceramic belts, you're getting very little heat build up in the actual cutting edge itself. So it's warm, but it's not even getting anywhere near close to burning my fingers, and that's important. You don't want to scorch that edge. So the final belt, even though I said that it was a 400 grit, this is one of these Gator Trizac belts, which is actually a sort of, it's actually measured in different numbers to the P numbers that you get on abrasive. So this is actually an A45 belt, but it equates to about a 400 grit. And these little toothed sort of sections to the belt mean that there's lots of air in the belt, so it keeps, again, the belt very cool and therefore doesn't scorch the steel, and it leaves an amazing finish on the actual cutting edge. So that's straight off that 400 or A45 Gator belt, and you can see that we've got this nice convex, and then I sort of blend it into that Scandi. So I just take a little bit of that back edge off the Scandi there, but pretty much you've got a flat section from here all the way to that plunge. So this has still got a burr on at this stage, so it's not super sharp. And obviously I normally finish that, strop that when I've actually got the handle on and the handle's all finished. But what we'll do, just to show you how this sort of cutting edge performs, we'll strop that, take the burr off and show you how it cuts. So we've got that lovely stropped edge, we've removed all that burr. We've got that lovely mirror finish on that cutting edge now. Now AEB-L polishes up really nicely anyway. It's been used for lots of years for razor blades, so that's the kind of level of edge you're going for. So what we've got, you use lots of paper towel when you're a knife maker, so I keep all these tubes from the inside of the kitchen roll, and we'll give it a bit of a test run. So let's see how this performs. Oh yes, that's more like it. So a nice clean cut. And obviously that nice convex edge, very little resistance going through the actual cardboard tube itself. Now let's see if I can get another one. Oh yes. So there you go, satisfaction for me as a maker, and also it helps reduce the bulk in your recycling as well if you cut up all your tubes. So that one's totally finished, but there's a few more that I've got to mark out and grind. But yeah, I'll probably be working on those blades for the rest of the day. But yeah, hope you enjoyed seeing what kind of level of edge we can get on our parangs. But if you've got any questions, please just drop a little comment below. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you next Wednesday.